Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Y'all bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got Hex, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart.
This is Wells only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The Godwell told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. These motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all deep. Everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, when it's a told you. Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. Whoa, forgot to add myself there. What's good, homies and homettes, family? Hope everybody's having an outstanding weekend, even though it started off a little crazy. Now, first off, I just want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for joining. As you guys know, I've been talking about this for a while, so I don't know. I guess let's just get into it. You know, this is the false flags are always aplenty. And, you know, fortunately, problem is that people generally don't know. Like, we're at a point where people just don't know enough. And, you know, I actually have been having conversations that highlight just that. And I don't really know. It's a weird point in time because now people think they can be brought up to speed, and no, you're fucked. You either get caught up or you're just fucked. And that's primarily because, and this is no fear mongering. You know, you have to understand what's being said here. We live in a system. We don't live in a real life, right? And it's important that people understand what that means. You know, every decision that's laid out in front of you is not for you to make. It's what's placed in front of you. You don't have the ability to do what you want, regardless of you being a billionaire or not. And this is hard for people to wrap their head around. This is very high level thinking. The average person cannot understand what the hell I'm saying because they think money is the solution, when in fact it's not. It's the problem. So while all we do is talk about generational wealth and this and that, you know, there's a reason for that. We don't talk about chasing fast money, right? Because, you know, fast things typically lead to fast decisions, which typically leads to friction, which typically leads to Uh, fatigue, right? And fatigue means bad decision making, and that's just the nature of the beast. um, so these are things, you not common topics, right? These are not things that people typically talk about. People typically talk about, pointless shit. Nothing that's really gonna add value because everybody else is talking about it, right? So the first thing to understand about what's currently going on is that it's just a start, right? Because we just saw what a whole year and a half or two of Ukraine being the focus of military expenditures and defense expenditures in general. And that story was only good, but for so long, right? So it should be no surprise that we are now seeing another false flag because the Ukraine excuses are running out. We're running out, right? This It's obvious that it's a scam now, even to the most devout supporter, when the most ridiculous rumors and narratives keep circulating around it. You know, and when you're out there amongst the normies, just don't engage them on this type of shit. Because again, how are you gonna beat? How are you gonna educate somebody? And this is something that took me a while, right? Because I'm here trying to do that, and this is something I have to understand too. How are you gonna try to educate somebody that doesn't want to educate themselves? And we all struggle with this, no matter whether it's crypto or whatever the fuck, right? Because if you're on Twitter or whatever, Facebook, whatever stupid social media you use, and you're talking about crypto, specifically Hex, you got to educate people on that. It's not a fake crypto. It serves a purpose. You're not just buying it to sell it, right? So these are things we must understand. Like, life is about understanding. It's not about just fucking breathing. And this is a problem for people because people think that they can just be told what the fuck to do, and that's it. And I've been telling you guys for years that shit is fucking done. Rona was the first iteration, the first outline of that. It's just the first bullet point in a series of never ending events, because are we going to stop it? I could end the stream here, literally, because that is the fucking question that nobody has the answer to, and that's the only fucking answer, because the answer's in the question. So we find ourselves 20 years and a half from the start, well, and about 10 days away from the start of the Iraq War. We're probably 3 to 4 days away from a solar eclipse. We are a couple of days off from Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur. All these things are not coincidental, people. All these things happen at the same time for a certain reason, right? So, if you're just getting caught up in terms of a certain level of education, in terms of real history, real information, not mainstream media giving bullshit that is fake, right? And again, I tweeted something out earlier. I was having a conversation with somebody that this is somebody I used to work with. They work somewhere else now, whatever. They're smart when they want to be, just like everybody else, right? And this is the thing that people have a hard time understanding, and I try to help people understand it, but it's difficult because we think that because we're smart in one thing, we're fucking smart, period. But no, that's fucking wrong and that's false. Period. It's just wrong and false. Now, how is it wrong and false? Well, let's think about it. How many athletes do we know that end up in jail for one reason or another? But they're phenomenal motherfucking athletes. Yes? Yes. All right then. There's fucking example number one. Example number two. How many A students do you know that existed while you were growing up that ain't shit now? I mean, we can count them and still have no room left over on our fingers and fucking toes, right? So these are things that are true. They're not opinions. And this is why everybody else is that talks about their opinion, you cannot take whatever the fuck they say, even with a grain of salt, because that shit don't mean anything. It's like you just wasting your time. You need to listen to individuals that are providing factual information that's verifiable and actionable. Stop fucking around. This is not the time to be watching no little bullshit streams about no whole shit, because that shit is not going to do nothing for you if something comes this way. And by this way, I mean the Western world, where people are used to nothing happening. Because right now, I don't know if you're paying attention, but the borders of all Western countries are non-existent. And I don't mean this in the sense that people can come over and steal your job, because that's not what the fuck is happening. Not what's happening. Right? There's still plenty of jobs out there to be had for anybody that wants them. I see it. I do my channel checks. And if you don't know what a channel check is, then that means you don't know shit. And you should be listening to what the fuck you're being told. And I guarantee you, if you watch another YouTuber, odds are they don't know what the fuck a channel check is either. Maybe you should ask them. Check people on their knowledge. Don't just let a motherfucker lie to you. God damn. Like, this is what the internet is. And this is what people do not understand. They think that just because some motherfuckers on the screen showing their face or not, that's sufficient. And no, it's just not. There's plenty of people out there that show their face that fucking lie to your face and steal from you. And they know they're going to do it and they don't give a fuck. And you don't either, because you clearly follow plenty of people like that. And look, I don't mean just crypto, right? Because a lot of you motherfuckers watch entertainers that lie to you to your face. Politicians, etc. Movie theaters, whatever the fuck. You name it, you tolerate it. I can gladly say I do not. Because I don't. I don't participate in no commercial bullshit. Don't give a fuck. A lot of people need that shit because they don't know what living is. They don't know that they're not living. Right? People that fucking spend their days and nights, doing countdowns of fucking holidays, them motherfuckers ain't living. They're not. Period. Don't matter what justification there is for that commercial celebration, because that's what it is. It's not a spiritual celebration. It never is. Because a spiritual celebration does not require a fucking day. It doesn't require a reason. It just happens. But that is not what we see. Right? And it's all these things that are similar that people just let happen. Right? I mean, let's think about this real quick. Let's suss out the facts. On the early morning Eastern Standard Time, it is stated that supposedly an Israel border, a border of the country of Israel. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Israel is infinitely more advanced than Silicon Valley. Period. End of discussion. I don't know if people actually know that. But if you didn't know that, Now you do. It's more advanced than whatever they got in China. And then on top of that, the intelligence agency that controls the country. I mean, if you don't know who they are, you should look into them. So, long story short, if you don't understand that that is a lie and there was no invasion, no attack, no anything, if you don't understand that, then you are part of the problem. This is exactly a repeat. You need to understand, how long has this supposed war been being fought? Yet all you see are more Palestinians dying. You don't see Israelis dying or whatever the fuck they are. You don't see them dying. You don't see them being oppressed. You don't see any of that shit. You don't. Now, it's apparent that this is not everybody in Israel that is in agreement with what is happening to people that are Palestinian or of that cloth, right? So this is again imperative to understand that just like in America, it is not people like myself that agree or condone the actions that are being taken on behalf of everyone. Because what you, the viewer that lives in a country where shit happens that you don't want to happen, but you don't understand, is the following: it happens because you don't care that it happens, regardless of you thinking it does. Because you don't care enough to speak up about it, say something, do something. You don't care. Because saying nothing is approving the action. I'm educating as many motherfuckers that are willing to hear. And you best believe I don't shut the fuck up when motherfuckers are in front of me. Because I don't give a fuck. When I need to say something, I do. So what are you doing? Why is the world the way it is? Because everybody's okay with it. That's the simple answer. And it took me a long time to come to terms with that fucking reality. Because that is what's true. Nobody actually gives a fuck. They rather just cry and complain like they do. But they don't. Because if they did, none of this would be happening. Pretty simple. No no thought further required. I mean, it's just how shit works. Straight up. Happens all the time. The things that people do not want happening do not happen. The things that people don't care to happen happen. Think about it. Especially in the commercial aspect of things. So why not in the form of how you live? I just don't understand. I mean, it's significantly more important than some stupid toy on a shelf or a video game or whatever the fuck stupid Karens complain about. Because this is what drives the narrative, what complainers complain about. Not people with supposedly morals and values. I mean, let's think about this shit. All we've talked about for the past 3+ fucking years is how all these evil motherfuckers are doing A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. But what happens? Not a fucking thing. Why? Because nobody gives a shit. The masses are perfectly okay with getting porked. So, in case you have not figured it out yet, I've said this before, but let me explain it again. We've entered into an era where moving forward, your ability to survive will not depend on your finances. It will depend on your ability to think, on your ability to understand what's a lie and what is not. That is the future we're going into. Excuse me, we're already there. And Rona was just the first version as time progresses and people steadfastly do nothing, they will just die quicker. You can mark my words on that because that's exactly how it works. We've gone from, I can't even say sugar to shit. I mean, it just gets worse. Right. And while it might not get worse for some people, it's going to come a time where nobody's going to be able to hide from the impact. And you are already feeling it because inflation is just the start. Because if you live in a city, what you see when you go from A to B is that if you give money to every homeless person that's asking for something, you're going home with none. That is what's true, not an opinion. So where does it end? Because this is just the start. Do you think you're going to be able to step out of your house soon? Like, seriously, think about that. Unless you live in the middle of nowhere, it's about to get really fucking real. So, where do you stand on what is happening? Are you okay with your kids being sent to a fake war to die again 20 years on after the first one? Because they're going to push it as far as they can get away with, because that is what they do. That's how it works. Start educating yourself if you are not. The time is yesterday. The future is now. Will you have a tomorrow? Things to think about. Because there is no warning ever. It just happens. I mean, a whole fake war has been perpetrated on everybody. Time and time again. So maybe it's fair to presume another one will just continue. The question is, what happens when it touches your door? Because at this pace, I just don't see how it's not. Tons of people crossing borders everywhere. Tons of people are fucking sleep. Tons of people still believe in lies. Tons of people still thinking dollars are going to save them. Just the simple fact that you think money is going to save your fat fucking lazy ass is exactly why you're fucking smoked. And even if you're not fat, guaranteed you're fucking lazy. So don't think looking like you're in shape is being in shape, because you're not. And being in shape is not the same as being fit to fight, to survive. So, again, not being an alarmist, just stating facts because you see what is going on. People do not cross into borders without families because they're visiting. I didn't. So you should understand that whoever you see doesn't know shit about you, doesn't give a fuck about you. You're just another person that might or might not be in the way. Where do you stand? It's time to figure it out. Because ultimately, the decision is going to be on you. There's not going to be anybody there to help you. And just like all these morons decided to get the jab, there's going to be many more instances in where people will be allowed to be moronic again. And that is what I like to call giving people rope. I mean, people love to hang themselves. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know. I don't know. And, for people that think they can go somewhere and hide from shit, I got to tell you something. Unless it's underground, you ain't hiding from shit. Because every fucking place is the same. There is no escape from anything. Anybody that left fucking China just walked right into fucking China. When are you dumb motherfuckers gonna wake up? You can't outsmart a systemic scam, motherfucker. I mean, you just can't. Wake the fuck up. Get in the fucking fight or shut the fuck up. You're not adding value by talking about escaping. Escaping to where? Another fucking jail, you dumb fuck? I mean, let's be fucking real. This is what's called a intelligent solution. Go to where you're treated best. That's the dumbest fucking shit ever. Because there is no fucking where you're treated best. You dumb fuck. The entire system is a fucking scam. Because if you are allowed to do one thing in one country, there's going to be something else you can't fucking do. So, are you really fucking freer? No, you're just picking and choosing, you dumb fuck. You're just picking and choosing. You're still in fucking jail. Wake up. There is nowhere to go. Only solution is fighting or dying a weak bitch. Because you were too much of a fucking pussy to give a fuck about your goddamn life. And hey, there's plenty of people out there like that. So don't feel alone. It's cool. Everybody can't be a fucking G. It's all right. Everybody can pretend to be one online though. That's easy. That's easy. So don't feel bad. Just choose that route. It's cool. Things you must understand. There's just nowhere to go. If there was, you wouldn't know about it because you're online watching a motherfucker on YouTube. So, something to think about. And again, no shot at the viewer, but it's important to understand the facts and the logic behind reality. I get on here because I've been a digital soldier since I got out the military. That's just what you end up having to do because there is really no physical fight yet. So what else is a person supposed to do when there's a war to fight, but not a physical battle? Right? And there's hundreds of thousands of us online doing this. Maybe millions in our own way. Right? Digital soldier. But that's the thing. That's only temporary. Because ultimately, you're going to have to go back outside and put on your fucking big boy diapers and fucking fight again. That's just life, man. You can't pretend to think they're going to let you just hide and fight behind the screen. That's not real life. Because you're not really fighting like that, are you? That's not fighting, man. And the thing about it is you're conflating violence with education. Odds are because I haven't been explicit, you see. So you're probably presuming I'm talking about getting violent. But that's because you have a low form of thinking. Because the solution is no action. But people will act. And that's the problem. Again, the future requires a different level of thinking, and the majority of people are just not ready for it. And this is ultimately why, if you're somebody that's like me and you understand this situation, you clearly understand there's nothing to do but stand aside and let the morons kill each other off, because there is nothing left to do. At this point, there's nothing left to do because the decisions that are left to be made are obvious. The enemy is obvious. They're not even hiding. I mean, I don't even understand the logic, because there isn't any to be. There's nothing being obfuscated whatsoever. Like, everything is in plain sight. So if you're pretending like you don't understand what's going on, I mean, there's no time to help you. I'm sorry, you're fucked. Good luck. I hope you learn how to follow motherfuckers running in a certain direction, and I hope you pick the right group. I don't even know what to tell you. And again, it's literally not about being alarmist. This is just what is true. I call these moves miles in advance for your fucking benefit. Use the shit. I do. So you should probably also. Because the question is, why does any of this happen? Who benefits from any of this? Because remember, if you're old enough to, like me, oil was supposed to get cheaper after 9/11. But in fact, it's, well, I don't know where we're at now, for 4 or 5x from then and more, right? I'm just, on average, just 4 to 5x from then to now. I mean, the only time it's been lower or close to 9/11 prices is during the Trump era. And it's ridiculous that I even have to say that, but it's true. Only time. Only time. And people still just, I don't know. This is one of those things where you just got to decide to get in where you fit in, folks. And I don't know if you even are capable of understanding what that means, but start figuring out where the safest place for you is moving forward, because you're your own person. I know what works for me, and for me, that's going right towards the target. So I know what I have to do. What do you have to do? You need to figure it out, and you need to take action, because it's what you need to do. There's no other way, because you got to figure out how to get the information you need to make the decisions you need to make. Oh, breaking news. Breaking news. Hex related breaking news. Wow. Now let me just confirm something here. Let's see what's going on. Where is my... here we go. All right, let's see here. Just gonna double check something. So the T-share rate on Pulse Chain is officially above 30,000 hex per T-share. Just want you guys to know that. It is, I don't know if it is on Ethereum yet, but the bot has alerted us that it sure as hell is on Pulse Chain. And that is because of a transaction of an emergency and stake that seems to have happened on, let me confirm that. Just making sure. Yep, this is a Pulse Chain transaction. So let me give you the rundown, guys. A 1,599 T-share stake that was in existence for 1,404 days has just ended. And it was unstaked on the Pulse Chain side. And staked on the Pulse Chain side, excuse me. The stake was for a quantity of 9 million hex. The reward was 17 million hex. a total ROI of 198%, yielding an average annual return of 51.6%. So that is exactly what caused. I guess I could share a screen for a second. I just don't really feel like it. I'll put the links in the chat, bro. I mean, you people really need to work on your listening skills. Because again, that's just where we're going. I just don't even know what to tell you. So let me rehash. Tonight, we had a stake end totaling in the amount of 1,599 T-shares. That stake is 1,404 days in duration, and it ends today. The stake was for 9 million hex. The reward was 17.8 million, giving the gentleman or gentlewoman, gentle lady, a total of, motherfucker, restake 10 million. All right. And here's what you should know. The restake only got the individual 1,000 T-shares versus the 1,600 that they just had. So they, in effect, lost 600 T-shares out of 1,600. Right? That's not a little bit. That's like 30-something percent, 38%. 38% chop. And that's going to impact the amount of hex that's going to be distributed in the system moving forward. You know, these are things, man, that, they were explained years ago, and people just are retarded. I just don't know how else to put it, because nothing happens instantly, right? But yet, for whatever reason, people seem to live in this world where things happen in like 2 seconds, and I don't know where the fuck that's at. I don't know it. Never been there, never seen it, and I day traded for fucking ever. So I don't have any clue where this place is, because even in crypto, it doesn't fucking exist. Right? And people have a hard time wrapping their head around that shit. And, it takes them getting wrecked to get that shit. And, who's supposed to give a fuck at that point? I sure as hell don't. Don't give a flying fuck. Because your ass been warned. I mean, I love to scan for scams, and they're out there. Pulse chain is full of them. There's 5,000 plus fucking coins. You think them motherfuckers is worth putting your money into, really? Gotta own them all. They Pokemon. You a dumb motherfucker, man. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, I guarantee you, people be watching my screen thinking I'm watching shit coins. Nah, I'm searching for scams, bitch. Cause they out there, man. Like, that's what these motherfuckers is out here doing, lying to you, talking about fucking adoption, and your stupid ass is buying it. Oh man, and I'm supposed to be like respectful to people. Like, y'all motherfuckers are just dumb. There's no way to be respectful to a dumb motherfucker. It's just not gonna happen. Never. Impossible. So, for the slow folks in the back of the room, let's go to this dude's thing. All right. Can you get rid of this shit here? Nope. All right. So before this, the T-share rate was like 29,700 something, and it ticked up 250 hex or so. And this is the reason why. 9 million hex stake ended, yielding an ROI of 200% with an average annual APY of 51.6%, yielding a total coin amount and rewards of 17.8 million. And the individual did the full duration of the stake, 1,404 days, for a total of 1,599 T-shares, and they only got a whopping 1,001 this time around. So let's drop this motherfucker in HexCalc. That was a 555 too, right? Yep. Ah! So hold on. Let me rehash this because I didn't even catch it. Like, because I'm just trying to explain what's going on, and I'm a little ticked, right? So not only was this just a stake for 3-some years, it was only good enough in terms of hex, right? Because we're talking about the initial amount, right? The initial capital amount was just 9 million hex. So that same amount only got this individual 598 less T-shares, throwing it Hail Mary 3.5 years into the system. Woo! Woo! Yo. Oh my God. I'll tell y'all something right now. I do not pity a hater that's out here slandering Hex and gets smoked by me verbally in any which way, or anybody that I roll with. Don't feel for you, because you're getting what you deserve with your dumb ass. And that's just something you need to understand, because this is really not rocket science, right? But people out here perpetrating this fraud in public as if people are stupid. And sure, a lot of them are, but not the ones that matter. So you're just putting yourself in a very bad situation when you're exposing yourself as being a liar or a duplicitous piece of shit. You know, you pick. It's all the same to me. So long story short, stop playing yourself, because that's what a lot of people are out here doing. And look, man, it's your pockets. You know, end of the day, you already lost out big time. Big time. Because we're talking from 1,404 days to 5,555 days and got 38% less T-shares. Now, that's adding 4,100 days on top of the original stake. 4,100. 4,100. Let's do some math just so people can understand what's going on here. 5,555 minus 1,404. So this individual had to add 4,151 days just to get close, just to lose only 38% of his T-shares. Wow. T-shares ain't shit, huh? Woo! Imagine being dumb enough to say some ignorant shit like that. Ow! Damn. Just looking like a dumb motherfucker. All right. So let's say this shit goes to $3. Only making 17.3 million. And it sounds funny. But if you've been watching me the whole time I've been talking about Hex, then you know this ain't shit. So, you know, good job throwing it out there, 555 after you ran it up, you know, took a little chunk here and there. You know, you got to understand that until Hex makes a significant move, these whales aren't really crushing the game unless they got super duper size on those short stakes, right? So what's the whole idea behind staking short at low prices when it's not really advantageous? It's just accumulating enough hex to make it worthwhile to keep rolling it. But at that point in time, when do you know that it's worth to not short stake anymore? I mean, are you really that good at TA that you couldn't just stake it for another year or two in the first place? Because it's a losing proposition as the T-share rate goes up over time. So you got to just have a plan, play that plan, and stick to it. And if your bags aren't big enough, don't play yourself. Because look at this. We're talking about, that wasn't even 10 million hex. Sorry, folks. 10 million hex right now is $32,000. So this person just staked 32,000K, and that only got him 1,001 hex according to what we just saw. 1,001 T-shares, because this is probably going off East stuff. Yeah. See, T-shares rate is lower over here, and we know it's actually higher on the pulse chain side, about 200 hex or so. So, assuming it hits $3, 30 million, yielding a total reward of 150 based on the hex, right? And again, this is just based on the average, and it's going by 6.5 right now, according to this little footnote down here. And again, this is for the max duration, right? 5,555 days. So to start off, the person only had a 1,404 day stake, right? And that stake ended at a price of 0.003. Now, odds are that 14, I can't even. The system is probably that old. Yeah. So this dude made money, right? Caked up. I'm not going to go through the wallet and all that. But clearly the individual made money. And he made 2x on his bag, right? At least. Because the dude went from 9 million hex to 17.8 on top of his 9 million. So you do the math on that. He took 10 and kept 16. Simple. So if he's keeping, if he only got, right, let's see how much let's see how much T-shares 1,404 days gets you right now. So approximately those 600 T-shares he lost. Interesting is what those 1,400 days get you now. Right? So there's only a 400 or so T-share difference between staking it for the same amount of days. Excuse me while I take a sip. And staking it for the longest duration. That's a 40% difference, right? Approximately, which is about the same amount that the individual lost. So maybe this was their one nugget that they staked at the time. Again, I'm not going to go look through the wallet. I'm not going to do all that. Because even if we do all that, there's no guarantee. And this is why I don't buy into the whole blockchain analysis bullshit. It's like, you really don't know what you're looking at. You're presuming and assuming. You don't know shit. You're just taking guesses. And, yeah, your guess might be a good one, but it's still a guess. So, whatever. Shit doesn't matter. You just make your decision and, rock with it. At the end of the day, you're either going to be right or you're going to be wrong. Whatever guess you make that underpins that decision, does it really make a difference? Fact is, it doesn't, because the facts are ever changing. So whatever you thought mattered in the instance in which you made a decision no longer mattered when the facts changed. And that's how markets actually work. You're welcome. So let's continue. So you're looking at this and you should be thinking to yourself, damn, that's why long stake matters. And yes, that is why long stakes matter. That's why me, Kareem, and the rest were preaching the max, the max, the max, because that was the time to do it. Because now you asked to miss 40% of the bag, being a fucking dipshit. Now, hey, You don't want the max, yo, you don't gotta take it. But don't be mad in the future, because you're gonna be. Because you didn't want to think forward. And you're gonna regret that, because that is how life works for young people. Just the way it goes. So as the sign or whatever banner on the screen says, get your fucking t-shirts. Stop playing the game thinking that you can beat something that's mathematically designed to not be beat. Like, I don't know why that's so hard for people to get, but whatever. Longer pays better. Yeah. I mean, it even says it on the screen. I don't know. I don't harp on bigger pays better because, who just got 32 racks to throw around and pick up 10 million hex? Maybe you do. If you do, congrats. The average person does not. So, if you can play bigger pays better, the number is 150 million hex. It's not even 10 million. So that's why I don't even bother, right? It's like, who has that type of money just laying around? I don't know. 1.5 billion, excuse me. That's approximately 480K right now, right? So at 480K, let's say you do a 90-day stake, you're making 10K. So that's not bad, right? But you meet the bigger pays better financial threshold. Think about it. I'll read it out loud. Bigger pays better bonus and how it works. Increasing your principal amount earns you more yield. Burning a principal amount of 75 million hex earns you a 5%, a bonus of 5% on your yield. Additionally, on top of what you are normally getting from the system. And the bonus for bigger pays better caps at a 10% rate. So essentially, it seems to be a factor of 15, right? 150 million, 75. So if you factor that down, I guess, to 37 and a half, you get 2.5%, right? And you divide that by 2, you get 1.25, and so on and so forth, right? Capping out at 150. Also, would that be 15? I don't know. I'm not doing the math on this. I don't care. Point is, this is how the system works effectively, right? You're getting 5,700 T shares, right? You got 150 million hex you're starting out with. After 90 days, what's your total yield in terms of hex? Only 3 million hex. So your ROI is a paltry 2.25%, annual APY, because the number is being annualized, meaning it's being converted from this fraction of a year to a whole year. 9 and approximately 1/7%, something like that, 1/6 or so. Not killing it, not rocking it out of the park, but when you put it into perspective, right, where are you getting these kind of returns in 90 days? And the answer is nowhere. Right? You're not getting this kind of return nowhere. And, I see a comment about market cycles and all of that. That's the thing that's hard about, and I'll highlight the comment just to talk about this because I think it's important. Wish I knew about market cycles when I got into Hex. I wish I would have saved my coin until now. I'd have way more Hex, PLSX, PLSX, or PLS and PLSX, etc. And yeah, that's logical, right? And that's obvious. And that's the problem with playing Monday morning quarterback, right? Because why wouldn't you already just have a bag there for the opportunity? What's to say something isn't going to cause a circuit trip and cause prices to puke now? What's to say that? Nothing. Nothing's to say that can't happen. So the fact remains that if you're an operator and you're really serious about your business, you always have something set aside to participate. Now, everybody can't afford that. And that's why you have to accept the reality of learning from your mistakes, because that's the only way to really succeed. That's the only way. Nobody's going to be there to tap you and say, hey, man, do you know about this yet? Because, it's impossible to know what somebody just randomly talking on YouTube should be talking about. That's impossible. Because if that's the case, we should always be talking about market cycles and nothing else. Just not realistic. Because there's so much to talk about. Right? This game of markets and what matters, right? That shit is difficult because what if a market cycle stops cycling? What if that bitch just continues? Because that's what happened in the stock market recently. That motherfucker ran from 2009 until the shit is still going. What the fuck am I saying? It's still going. There's only been hiccups along the way. We have not seen a 50% retracement since the 2008, 2006, 7, 8 era. The biggest we've seen, I think, is 35%, 30%. So in essence, we have not seen a bear market. We have not lived through an economic recession since that point in time. So market cycles are not really cycles. They're just some type of rule. Because in the stock market, the average cycle is 7 years off or on, 1 year off. Double or a couple years. Double what it is in crypto, basically. So, why? I've already explained that. But the answer is, it's because crypto is 24/7. There is nothing impeding the functionality of crypto. Right? Crypto is nonstop. So while you might have had more hex now than you currently do, along with everything else, you have to accept the fact as what it is. You didn't know. And yeah, of course, it's impossible to know. So you got to just bite the bullet and ride the wave for what it is because you can't do shit about it. Right? And that's something that in markets, you have to cold-bloodedly accept that. If not, you're letting your emotions tickle you when you're clicking. And that's the thing. You don't think that shit impacts you. But I wouldn't be talking about it if it didn't. Because it's going to be at the back of your mind fucking with you for who knows how long. When ultimately, bro, it's not going to fucking matter in a year or two. It's not. It's not. Because people don't understand what's happening. No matter how much I explain it, people just cannot wrap their head around the shift. The shift happens in your face. You don't think it's happening when it's happening, but it's happening. We saw it in the 80s and 90s. We saw it 2000s. We're seeing it again now. I mean, they already got motherfuckers lining up at airports doing biometric scans already. They ain't asking you, motherfucker. They just doing it to you. Do we not get what's going on? Because these are the kinds of things you got to understand about life. You can't be out here thinking, shucks, fuck that. You didn't know, bro. Pick your fucking nuts up and keep it moving. Because that's really the only way to do it. Otherwise, why the fuck we alive? Because there's a ton of shit we don't know. And we ain't gonna know. Especially from motherfuckers out here and looking for it. That shit is a critical lesson in this comment. That's the only reason I'm harping on it. It's very, very critical. Because the psychological effects of how we engage markets, it dictates our behavior. It dictates how we're gonna do what we're gonna do, right? We can say we're gonna do A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, and end up doing something completely different and throw our whole game off to the point that we can never recover. I mean, this shit happens for real. This is how people leave markets and never turn around, never look back. They think that they can't make it. But there's so many people extracting value from the market. Why can't you? And it's simply because you just mentally cannot. You don't want to. You find a way to stop yourself from being able to do what you can. And the fact is, anybody can do it. But, you got to be willing and able. Because it's easy to just say you're ready. But are you really? And the answer for most people is not. Because they're too busy thinking and not acting. I spent a long time learning before I realized I wasn't putting into action what I was learning. I had to hear that statement be said because by default, You presume you're enacting what you are consuming. You presume that, right? You don't think that you have to actively engage things that you don't normally participate in, right? And that's what's weird about it. It's like, well, I'm reading this thing, I'm understanding it, I get it, but am I employing it? Right? I mean, you have to be an active thinker. You have to intentively do things as you get older because you're not being instructed. Your brain doesn't work the same way. Your brain has been programmed already. And this is hard for us to accept as we get older and we get stuck in our ways and think we're changing, but we're not, because life is about change. I was talking to somebody today. I can't remember who the hell it was, but it was one thing I said. I was like, damn, I wish I was streaming because that shit was true as hell. The only thing that is always changing is what you have to do to survive. The only constant is change. And people choose to not accept that, right? And this is why we're still talking about T-shares like it's day one. Seriously. I mean, it's crazy, but it's true, right? People cannot wrap their head around the fact that a person can make a stake for the same amount of money for 90 days and make money, and the price go nowhere. People cannot wrap their head around that. That shit is crazy to them. It's like, nah, not possible. Clearly it is. Right? And this is why you as an individual have to be capable of thinking for yourself. You can't have some schmuck telling you what's good and what's not. You can hear what they have to say all day because you must. I follow plenty of people on Twitter that I know is ops. Because you got to know what the enemy is thinking. You a dumbass if you think you don't got to know. I don't got to talk to them. I know what they thinking. It's dumb for me to engage. Well, why would you do that? I mean, it's just moronic. You're just wasting time. Right? That's why I'm me and you're you. I do what I do and you try to do what I do. That's the difference between somebody that knows how to move in the world and somebody that pretends to know. Right? You don't see me talking crap on Twitter with morons. I just call them morons. That's it. There's no conversation to be had with a moron. I mean, you got to be lying to yourself if you think you can engage a person in civil conversation when they're just fucking stupid. They're not trying to be civil. You dumb. The dumb one is you, really, right? Because a motherfucker that's dumb and they know they dumb and they gonna act dumb and they profess to be dumb out loud. Well, guess what? They're not hiding who the fuck they are. So why do you think you can talk to them like they got sense? It's really because your ass ain't got no sense. Facts hurt, don't they? Yeah, I know, man. Shit real. What's that dude name from Furious Styles? There you go. Yep. Only squared. Cause my shit gangster as fuck. He was just talking to his son on some regular shit. I'm giving y'all some life alpha. People have invested interest in lying to themselves because they are invested in feeling a certain way. They think feeling a certain way is what leads to positive results. And I'm like everybody else. I thought the same shit. Right? Because we're taught certain things. And that leads a certain frame of mind. You don't even know it. If you're not catching it or somebody's pointing it out, you're not going to have a clue. You're just going to do what you do. Because you're just programmed. You become a robot. That's what it is. That's why certain people commit crimes. Certain people do this. Certain people do that. It's not that that's what they want to do. It's because don't get me wrong. They're doing it because they're doing it. But at the end of the day, somebody comes to their fucking right mind and realizes they fucked up. Happens every day. Nobody innately wants to cause another motherfucker harm. It's very rare the individual that wants to do that. Simple. That's just true. That's why there's very few serial killers and all of that. Otherwise, it would be common, and it's not. Yes, really simple, right? But apparently, that's very difficult for people to wrap their heads around. But that is what's true. To prove somebody's a murderer, that shit got to be obvious. And guess what? Most of the time, it is, and it is for a reason, right? It's very rare the individual that you're like shocked by the shit. It's very rare. Usually somebody that dies at the hands of somebody else is even somebody that's close to them. So, you know, all in all, it either is obvious or it was never going to be. And this is what people have a hard time accepting because that is what's true. Not a lie, not a feel good story, right? I remember when I learned this about women a long time ago, and a lot of people don't like hearing it, but it's true. Why are women in general so miserable? And it's so much so that now in my old age, right, I'm meeting so many women, and the first thing I learned from them, because I'm not a normal dude, is that it's hard for them to meet guys. That's the first thing I learned from females. They giving it up ASAP. They don't even know it, right? Because that's what that is, whether they know it or not. And that's a function of the fact that in general, dudes just is not fucking with females. And I gotta explain it to them. Well, let me tell you what's going on because you're clearly not in fucking tune. Just at work alone, if you work in a corporate environment, they make you understand. You look at a bitch the wrong way, your ass is toast. They let you know. Military was no different. So my entire adult life, I've known it to be true that if you go into a workforce, any workforce, you're going to be advised of the following. Engage a female in any way where she feels uncomfortable and your ass is fried. It don't got to be true. It does not have to be true. Time and time again, it happens where it doesn't have to be true. Right? So these are things that's important to understand. Society has been shaped in a way where people think that what they're doing is correct, but they're not thinking in reality. And that's the catch-22 of life. Think about that. You think you're doing the right thing, yet you're not even thinking about what you're actually doing. It's crazy because it is so true. People spend their days lying to themselves to feel better. I mean, the individual I was talking today to 9/11 about today had the goal to take the conversation from that to feeling or some shit. And I'm just like, look, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but we ain't talking about the same shit. So I holler. I just don't got time, man. I don't got the time. I'll make fucking time to fucking educate your dumb ass when it's imperative. And it takes a minute to educate somebody nowadays because it's simple. I don't need more than a minute to educate somebody anymore because it's 2023 now. Everybody saw the last 3 years, and if they didn't, shit, I don't know how you're still alive because fuck you ain't. Unless you're blind, right? You saw the last 3 years. So this is the education you can give to everybody that's a normie and is waking up and they're like, what the fuck? This is what you tell them. It's really simple. In fact, let me just open up the phone. I mean, I can pull it up right here. Let's see where I go. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. All you need to know is everything you think you know is a lie. Now you just have to learn what's true. The rest is on you. Because everything you learned that you were quote unquote educated on is in fact a lie. Yep, it's a lie. hmm True. Everything. Moon landing, everything, right? I mean, you know, think about it. The first thing you're taught is what? It's a fucking lie. Santa. First thing you fucking remember is fucking Santa. I mean, I don't remember that shit from when I was a kid. I just know it's a thing. But that's the first thing kids are taught. They taught a lie. So they're taught to accept a lie. First thing you are taught in the West is to accept a lie. Fuck religion. We're not even going there yet. Because we already know all that shit is bullshit. The way it's sprung on us. So we ain't got to talk about that. So let's talk about quote unquote real life. So, quote unquote real life, the first thing you're taught is a lie, is to accept a lie. That's the first thing you were taught. So, I find it laughable when people think they're educated, but yet all they know is the shit they were given. They have never seeked anything, they are not learners. I mean, it's comedy. It takes me back to the Rona days when people thought somebody had to do the research for them. Well, give me the link. Show me the proof. The fuck you mean show you the proof? You mean you not paying attention? Because it's floating all around Twitter and all the fucking everywhere else that you can fucking look. So you're taught initially before you can even fucking think what the fuck your name is to accept a lie. And by the time you're old enough to defend yourself verbally, you understand that was a lie. And you can't do shit about it. And the rest of your life is the fucking same, yo. Kindergarten, you got the round globe shit, and it just continues. Lie after lie after lie. It's incredible. And people think they deserve respect. I mean, I find it laughable. Every time I think about it, I just got to make sure I'm just not near normies because I'm just going to scoff and be like, why are you breathing? Still, die already. Like, this is where my mind goes because that's where these people should be. Because they're the reason everything is fucked up. People that just want to be in the way and add no value. The world is full of them. They're out here pretending to add value, thinking that they're doing good things when they're just in the way or deflecting value, right? Causing bifurcations and shit, breaking apart branches that should be solid, making them weaker. And people can't see that because they're too dumb. They're too greedy. They're too fucking short-minded, short-sighted, narrow-minded, little thinking, peanut-brained motherfuckers. I mean, the internet is full of people like that. They're not hard to find. Just look on Twitter. There are a ton in Hexago. Thinking they're in Hexago, but that shit ain't fucking nothing. It's fake. Right? Because nobody's on the same page. Everybody thinks they're on the same page, but they're all just being fake as fuck. That's what Hexago has become. That is what happened when Pulse Chain was announced because you saw all these fake motherfuckers pop out of nowhere that they spend their days shit talking Hex and Richard Hart like if they're somebody. It's fucking comical. It's comical. And, you know, it's even more comical when people call themselves Hexingers and let other people get away with that. I mean, A, you're not Hexican, and B, stop thinking you are because you're just not. And I'm going to remind your dumb ass every time I can because I don't care. It's your problem, not mine. I know what a t-shirt does. I just explained it. Been explaining this since I learned it. What have you been doing besides lying and making up fake coins and NFTs and shit? What have you been doing besides lying? Right? Because that's all we see. I mean, it's bad enough people are normies. To be a normie and a fucking piece of crap is even worse. Because you just double fucked. Right? It's only a matter of time before you end yourself. And I think that that's what's hard for people to accept. I mean, that's the era we're entering right now. Yo, I had to go to this. Oh, all right. So I go shopping, right? I go to the supermarket, whatever. I'm paying. They little computer messes up. I gotta explain to these fools what a point of sale is, because they don't even know how a fucking store works, bro. It's like you gotta be a lawyer out here all day, or you gonna get scammed by people that don't even know they're scamming you, because they're dumb as they're just dumb like that. I mean, it's crazy. It's so real out here. Like everybody is inept, man. And if you don't know, somebody is gonna take advantage of what you don't know. And people don't want to they don't want to accept that. But hey, man, don't worry. The T-shirt rate gonna teach your ass. Sure is. It's right here in your face. From 1,600 and 1,404 days to 1,001 T-shirts for 5,555 days. So yeah, that is what's really going on, right? Now let's look at crude real quick, because market's gonna get volatile, right? And I don't know if you guys remember, but we talked about the spread before. Um, let's look at the VIX. VIX is down from where it was because Friday was an up day. And we got a bottom on this day. So volatility always gets crushed on the bottom, basically, or in simple terms. Well, let's take a look at the bottom, right? The bottom was the 5th or the 4th of October. Okay. Let's go back, look at the VIX, see what happened on the 4th of October. It opened up, right? It opened up from the previous close. The previous close was 19.78. The open on the 4th was 20.72. So it opened up almost a whole buck versus 19 and 3/4 points, right? So almost 5% overnight, just on the open. So at that instant, what you saw was a volatility crush, because volatility was so out of whack, right? Because it went from 12.5 all the way to 20 and 3/4, basically, right? So the market said, we're going to slow this train down real quick. That's basically what that is. Because if you've been around long enough, then you know volatility really kind of does its own thing. And it's like a slinky. That's the way I like to explain it. It just coils and recoils, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, and with intermittent up and downs in between. Right? I'm just giving you the big cycle because those are the big event periods. But ultimately, even if you look at something that, let's just look at a cleaner chart. 21 minutes. What is this? 10-year futures bond chart. So 21. And you'll see volatility down here, which is what this is. And again, I have this scale inverted where it's 0 at the top, 100 at the bottom. So I know which way volatility is increasing. So for example, if I'm looking at a commodity, right, this scale should be inverted versus a downward price action, meaning going down, which doesn't really make sense to the average person. But when you think about it, your cost of food should not be all green like that if life is good, right? It should be red. It should be cheaper. The ability to eat should not be skyrocketing, basically. But that's what we're seeing, right? We see OJ making fucking, I don't know, 20-year highs. I don't even know where it's at anymore. Let me take a look. Okay, so 30-year highs. I don't know. All-time highs. Nice. All right. I don't know if it's ever been $3.77 a ton or whatever the weight is. I can't even remember anymore. I don't remember. Um, I don't think so. I think this is the all-time history. I don't think there's any price missing, actually. However, when you look at this futures curve down here, this forward curve, that's what they call it. What this means is that the front part of the curve is ridiculously expensive to the normal part, which is the rest of it that isn't as expensive. And I think this is called contango. I can never get these right. Backwardation. Let me see if this is the. No, it's contango. Yeah, I always get them shits backwards. I mean, nobody really uses that. Some people like talking in that lingo, but shit don't fucking matter. Situation where the price of commodity is higher at the spot price, or is higher than the expected spot price, which is what we're seeing here, right? Because the spot price is, well, I mean, it's caught up by now, right? But what they mean is this: that the curve is higher at the front than it is at the back, and you see this highlighted in the photo here. It should actually give us, yeah, here we go. So here's contango. It's backwardation, and that's why they call it normal backwardation, because it's just normal price structure, right? And we've talked about this all the way back, even in the first video. I explained this. This is just a normal curve, because this is ultimately what happens over time. That's why it's called normal, not rocket science. So this is how we know contango is different, but I just can never remember the two words independently. I got to remember normal backwardation, and I can never remember that. Because again, nobody really uses that. So again, we were talking about T-shares earlier, and the significance and what short stakes can do, and why they need higher prices, right? Because if we're talking about, hell, let's talk about 3-cent hex, right? This person is making 100,000 every 90 days. Why not? Right? Why not? If they can. And this is the thing people just don't get about hex that I think is super comical, because these are people that pretend to be smart and all that. They pretend to be astute, But let's be honest. People that just can't even explain the different uses for hex and don't get it, and they just think that whatever they say makes sense, and they just can't give all these different vantage points. I mean, why are they even talking? I don't know. People listen to them, and God bless your heart for paying attention to these people, but they're just wasting your time. Just keeping it real, because you're not getting any value from that. I mean, these people are just rambling and talking to themselves. And, I didn't know this up until about 2 months ago, but people really like doing that shit. Oh, wait, did I say 2 weeks ago? Nah, probably like 2 months ago. People really, really, really like doing that. And I think it's crazy. I think that's a sign of psychosis. Like, you really should get checked out if you just like hearing yourself talk. Because there's a difference between this shit here and just like wanting to have meetings at work for no reason. Like, that shit is insane, yo. Like, what's wrong with you? And there's people like that where they just want to have meetings, yo, for no reason. That shit ain't add no value. Anyway, so these are things, you really got to wrap your head around the different use cases for hex, why different people, different entities could use them. I mean, if we're talking about 3-cent hex and people can make 100K staking on a quarterly basis, I just don't know where people think they're making sense disrespecting a T-share. I mean, I just find it baffling, because over time it's only going to get more expensive. Bigger pays better at 3 cents already costs 480,000. at 3 cents. Oh, I'm sorry. Current USD value is 480,000. At 3 cents is 4.5 million. So I don't understand what people think is gonna happen when everybody wakes up to what Hex is actually. Like, I don't know what people think is gonna happen, but I find it comical that people don't do what they're supposed to do or claim to be doing, because they're not doing it. You can see they're doing everything else though. And hey, more power to them. Somebody got to do it, I guess. Sure as hell ain't gonna be me though. I'm gonna stick to what I know is a winner and what works, and that's all. Everybody gonna do their own thing, but don't get mad when you don't get what you think you deserve, because you just ain't gonna get it. It's just not how life works. You gotta ride the wave, man. You gotta run the fucking path. You can't divert. You can't just stop and walk it out. You gotta run that bitch. You gotta dodge and duck. You can't just stop. Nah, man. They ain't no respect in that. You don't deserve it. You're not gonna ride, then you're not gonna die either, bro. Sorry. You just gone. We don't care. That's just crazy. Why don't people get the t-shirt rate and they just make these stupid ass comments? It's incredible. But it's what people do. And again, you got to be careful of people like that. These are things you got to understand. Do yourself the favor, learn how to think freely, and get your math on. Because the world's changed. People thinking that they know better, all of that is gone and over with. It doesn't matter anymore. Those people no longer have a platform. They've been deplatformed themselves. They did it to themselves by censoring everybody else and thinking that they know better when they don't know shit. So continue pretending. It's going to work out one day, and hopefully it's in the way that you think, even though you're not thinking, and not in the way that I know it's going to happen to you. Because that is the universe. You get what you call. And your pretending is exactly what keeps you in that disgusting vortex of nothingness, where your life is miserable and you think you know more than everybody, but yet you keep going backwards. Understand your position and play it, and you will find success. You do anything less, you're going to play yourself, and nobody's going to give you even a bless. So good luck. Get some rest, and I'll holler at y'all. Peace. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. These motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Trust
that.
us. 100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. I mean, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Yash deep, everybody. My God. Ex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets me. Yo, Wendy's done told you. Dollar Club done told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy.